All right, hello once again. Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies class, I've been creating a series of video presentations based on the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I'm on the CSS styling text, so I'm down to here, and I'm at web fonts. One more to go, then the assessment, and then we'll jump into the real fun stuff when we talk layout. So, web fonts. It says in the first article of the module, we explored the basic CSS features for styling fonts and text. In this article, we explore web fonts in detail, allowing you to download custom fonts along with your web page. So yours doesn't look like everyone else's, for lack of better words. So we looked at this before. And you remember this, that when we set up a font family like this, this says every paragraph should have a Helvetica font if it is available. If it's not, try to put in a Trebuchet MS font. And if that's not available, a Verdana font. And if that's not available, a sans serif font. And as it says, this system works well, but it's limited. And you really don't want your site to look like everybody else's site by just using those web-safe fonts. So what can you do about that? Well, it says there is an alternative which works well, right all the way back to IE version 6. It says web fonts are a CSS feature that allows you to specify font files to be downloaded along with your website as it is accessed. So you use the font face. All right. Now, not going to lie to you. Used these years ago, but today I just use Google Fonts if I want things to look a little bit differently. So if you use these, it says first you have a font face block at the start of your CSS, which specifies the font file or files that you want to download. Below this, as mentioned, you can use the font family name specified inside of here, my font. All right, and you can set that up like this. It says the syntax does get a bit more complex than this. We'll go into more detail below. Here are some things to keep in mind about web fonts. They generally are not free to use. You have to pay for them or follow some other licensing conditions. I see no reason to use these. This is me speaking. All major browsers support WAF and WAF2. WAF2 supports the entirety of TrueType and OpenType font specifications. The order in which you list these is important. If you provide the browser with a list of multiple font files to download, the browser will choose the first font file if it's able to use it. So that should be your most preferred format. If you need to work with legacy browsers, you should provide EOT, which is an embedded OpenType, or a TTF, a TrueType font, or an SVG for download. All right. Again, if you want some more basics, you can go click on the link here. I'm not going to do so. Let's take a look at the example that they have here. It says, with this in mind, let's build up a basic web font example from first principles. It is difficult to demonstrate this using an embedded live example, so instead, we're going to follow this. If it says we would like you to follow the step detail below to get an idea. So it says we should use these files as a starting point. So this is the live example right there. In fact, let's put this in its own. We'll put this in its own tab. So we've got that. There's the HTML, so we'll grab that. Nope, not like that. And that will become our new HTML file. There it is. And they want us to create a CSS file as well. So there's the web font start CSS. So there that is. And again, that's what we have to call the other file. So I can save this. It's still called download. And I'll do a file, save as, and we'll save that down here as web font start CSS. All right, so let's come back to the original file that was here, the download. And this is what we have right now. All right, okay, there's a start. For this example, you'll use two web fonts, one for headings, one for body text. To start with, we need to find the font files that contain the fonts. They are created by font foundries and are stored in different file formats. There are generally three types of sites where you can obtain fonts. Things like Font Squirrel, Everything Fonts, which are free font distributors, or paid font distributors like fonts.com, myfonts.com, or an online font service. It says, let's find some fonts. Go to Font Squirrel and choose two fonts, a nice interesting one for headings and a less flashy one for paragraphs. Well, there's one for headings. So let's download that one. And it said one that's not so interesting for paragraphs. So for that one, let's grab the one right here. Corbett, I don't know. All right. Says in each case, unzip the font package. They're usually put into zip files. Well, I don't even know if mine actually were downloaded. Because it's asking if I want to purchase these. So let's just run through. I don't want to buy anything. All right. The bottom line is we put in something that looks like this. These are the two fonts that are going to be used in here. All right. So what we're going to say here is, or this is the font face. This Xantrocra regular is going to be used. And you can see how that's changed everything in here. All right. And then they have you redo it with an online service. Now this has been a waste almost for you to go through this one. But the point is this. I would just say use Google Fonts instead, because you're going to be much better off doing that by just going out to fonts.google.com. Spell it right. And again, there they are, the 1052. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, scroll down a little bit, and here's lobster. Let's see. So I'm going to download that family. So I've got it there, and then I'm going to come in here, back up a little bit. Come on. Nope, not from there. I'll do it from here. And we'll find another one. Let's find, this is pretty good, Goblin 1. All right. So if we do look at both of these, so I'm just going to come over here, and I'm going to show it in the folder. So there's my Goblin, and there's my Lobster. All right. So I'm going to right mouse on, let's go over to, let's do this. Let's do an extract all. We'll extract both of them. So down near the bottom probably, let's see. There's goblin. And maybe it didn't do lobster. So there's goblin 1 and there's lobster. And I'm going to cut those, go back to my desktop. Not here. I'm going to throw them right here. Of course, you can't read that. They're RTFs. All right, navigate to fonts.google. Did that. In the search bar, search for the desired name. So what I could have done here is, so what if I knew I wanted Roboto? There you go. And notice there's 4 variations. So I know I want this real, true Roboto right there. All right. Click the font name to view a list of complete styles to import. All right. Click plus, select this style next to each style that you want to import from this font. So I'm grabbing it right from here. So let's say that what I want here from the Roboto, let's say I want this one, and I want, how about this one? All right. And it says, do I want to link these in? All right. Or do I want to do an import? Well, I've been using links, so I'm going to keep doing that. So I'm going to grab this. I'm not sure what that pre-connect even is, but I'll keep it in there. So I'm going to go back to here, go back to my download file here, bring in those Google fonts. All right, now I'm going to come in, and in my CSS, I'm going to tell it right there that the font family should be Roboto. So I'm going to change that from sans serif to Roboto sans serif. All right. Did this work? You'll know when I know. So I can remove this and this, bring this one back. And it wasn't a big change, but if you look closely, you could see that it did change. Just one more time. So I want to make sure that you do know what I'm doing here and that it did work, etc. So let's grab something that looks totally different here. How about this one? How about just Goblin 1? That was the one we were going to use before anyway. So there's just the one style. So I'm going to put this in. So I will replace what I had in there before in my HTML file with this. All right. And then I will come into my CSS file and I will replace the Roboto, which is in there, with Goblin 1. And they want us to actually put in here Goblin 1, and this should be cursive. Now, you should see a marked change if indeed this did work. And you do. So that's all there is. Now, there is an import that you can use as well. we haven't gotten to that, so we haven't talked about importing. So I'm just using the link statement that they're showing because there's two different ways that you can do this. All right. Clean this up just a little bit. All right, so that should end talking about the fonts. So what we have left then, the only thing we have left then, is this assessment, typesetting a community school homepage. We'll take a look at that in just a couple minutes.